Hello and welcome to another Diablo 4 class rundown video. My name is ChaosMole and today we are taking a look at the Barbarian, or just the Barb, in Diablo 4. How does he play? How does the class feel in comparison to the other Diablo games? And what is my first impression of the skills and abilities the Barbarian has? And what can you expect when you finally play the Barb in the open beta or at the release? Keep in mind though, this is only for the beta. We have only access to level 25, and with that we are limited to equipment, skills, and of course the enemies and events we can face inside the game. With that said, let's get to it. What can you expect from the Barb? And is the Barbarian actually the worst class in the game? I have been hearing this quite a bit from people who have been trying the Barb, and their first reaction was, holy moly, that is a bad class. It's weak, it dies too quickly, and it just doesn't feel great. And you know what? I agree with that to an extent, because there is actually quite a bit to the Barbarian you don't really have at your disposal at the beginning. And I would say the Barbarian, more than any other of the three classes I was able to play in the early access beta, is kind of counting on equipment. Yes, of course, for the other classes you need equipment, right? That is true for every class. But the Barbarian is special because you have 4 weapons at your disposal and you need all 4 of them. Even if you decide just to use one of them through the gameplay, all the stats, all the specific perks a legendary can bring with it are activated even though you don't use that weapon. So you have to look for the class weapons, you have to look for the unique, the specials and all that. You need that equipment more than any other class, because again, you have 4 weapons to maintain, even if you are not planning to use most of them. And especially at the beginning, you will feel that. The class feels weak because of that, because, well, equipment is not that great at the beginning. You can be lucky if you find a blue item at best, but that the Barbarian really works, you need some yellow items at least. But later on, at around level, I would say 13 to 15, it really started to change. I got more and more yellow items, I started to find my first legendaries, and the Barbarian started to feel like a powerhouse. I was surviving, I was murdering stuff very quickly, and I think another very important part is 2 things you have to consider when you play the Barbarian. Let's go back to Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. If you're playing a Barb there, what you were doing is pretty simple, right? You were walking up to the enemy and then you were starting your attack, like mostly spin to win or something similar, and you do tons of damage and you also heal yourself thanks to life leech and crisis averted. It's pretty simple. The thing is, the Barb doesn't do that anymore in Diablo 4, at least at the beginning. At the beginning, he doesn't do that because, yes, you have spin to win, but one of the main features in the other Diablo 2, or in the other Diablo games, the 2 which are available, is not in the game anymore, and that is life leech. They have removed life leech from the game. Well, not quite. There is still a little bit of life leech here and there through certain skills and certain uniques, but they are all functioning under very specific circumstances. So you're not getting life leech all the time. You get life leech at a percentage chance, after a crit chance, after an overpower chance, and then when you do a certain ability, you might get a little bit of health back. That's how specific life leech is now in Diablo 4. And when you are getting into the fight with the Barb with that concept in your mind that you can just life leech yourself out of any situation, then that just doesn't work anymore. So you have to rethink. You have to rethink about your movability, and you have to think about your abilities which will give you more defense, and you also have to think about abilities who might not be super flashy and do tons of damage, but they make you move forward. And when you do that, the Barb is actually becoming really fun. And I started out with a bleeding build, going in with, well, the old model of walking up to an enemy, do a lot of damage, life leech myself out of a very bad situation, and then go on about my day. Failed. Absolutely horrible. Didn't work out. Then I switched over to a Berserker build, right, where you were keeping up like Berserker Rage all the time, which is also giving you more defenses, and where you were a little bit faster, and where Upheaval is basically your strongest ability. And it worked. It started to work, especially when I started to get my first yellow / legendary items. So that was a pretty good build. And the build you are seeing here right now running in the background is not the Berserker build. This is my Thorn bleeding build I've been running. So I've been going on Thorns. When enemies hitting you, they hit themselves much harder, and they basically kill themselves. And then I'm also doing a little bit of bleeding, and I'm putting a lot into defensive abilities and defensive stats. And it has been working great. No, seriously, it has been working absolutely great, especially in the group. I'm the tank in front, I'm doing the taunt, I'm trying to basically just be the wall for my teammates, and it has been a lot of fun. But even alone, it totally works. So my teammates didn't have to carry me. You could see it here in the footage. When the enemy hits me, they do hit themselves really hard. I'm also doing some decent damage with my bleeding. And you have to think a little bit outside of the box with the Barbarian, as I said before. As I mentioned, you need those weapons. Like, even if you are just using a two-hand sword like I'm doing here right now, you still need the stats on your mace and your two one-handed weapons. That is 4 weapons you have to maintain, and I would say that makes the Barbarian a little bit more complicated at the beginning. But I can totally see that, especially later on, the Barbarian might become the strongest class in the game, because which other class can main 4 different weapons? Like, even the rogue, who has 2 one-handed weapons and a bow, that brings them just up to 3. And the Barbarian just has more stats and has more unique abilities they can utilize. But I would say, normally the barb is the beginner class in the Diablo games, right? It's always considered the class everyone is like, okay, I don't know Diablo, what should I play? Play the barb. It's pretty simple, it's pretty easy, nothing you can do wrong, you just do tons of damage and then you life leech your way out of it. And that doesn't work anymore in Diablo 4. I would even go so far to say that the barb is one of the more technical classes. And also, another thing the barb has, which I couldn't use because Blizzard shafted the barb a little bit, is I couldn't do the class quest, because you can do the class quest for the Sorc and the Rogue, but you cannot do it for the barb, because the barb is sending you into a different territory and you cannot go there in the betas. So unfortunately, you cannot do the class quest. But the class quest at around level 15, I think it's level 15, is super important, because it unlocks your mastery with weapons. The more you're using weapons, you are getting XP on the weapons that is different from your class XP, and it allows you to basically master a weapon. So you get more crit chance, you get more damage, and so on and so forth. And that is something I was not able to do, because, as I said, I couldn't leave the area we were in because of the beta. And so that was definitely something which was missing from finding out how strong the barb really is. But as I said, the moment you start to gain some items, to gain some weapons which are really powerful, doesn't have to be legendaries. It's enough when you are getting some yellow items, but it really helps and catapults the barb forward to maintain a lot of damage, but also you can take some beating, right? Like, you have actually quite a bit of abilities which made you much, much stronger, and which make you not die immediately. You just have to be willing to utilize them. I know everyone is like, but I want to do DPS. Well, then prepare yourself to die quite a bit, because you're not as tanky as you might think, especially without Life Leech. As I said, there is a little bit of Life Leech. Actually, my 3 ability, the Rapture, is doing some Life Leech because I've skilled it that way, but it doesn't happen too often, and the Life Leech I'm getting is, it's there, but it's nothing which will save your ass 24/7. But I had to say, for the first 13 levels, the Barbarian didn't feel great. It didn't feel great at all. After I figured out what to do skill-wise, which talents to use, and I started to get some equipment, the Barbarian actually became really fun. And believe it or not, right now I'm actually also thinking about maining a Barbarian, at least for PvE, when Diablo 4 is coming out. But if you still have some questions on the Barbarian and some of the skills, I will try to provide my skill tree with all the talents and all the skills I've been chosen at the end. I will try to put that into the video description. And if you still have some questions, please don't forget to ask them in the comments, and also please don't forget to like and to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more about Diablo 4, and of course there will be more videos about the classes down the line. With that said, thank you so much for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.